like really good rock and roll music is nowhere to be found on the top 40 usually anymore. And it's like it's almost all pop, hip hop, R&B, and depending on the radio station, country music, which country music nowadays doesn't really resemble country music of the old days. You can't really compare Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings to Toby Keith and Tim McGraw necessarily. And it's just strange how things like rock music, you have to dig for it almost. You don't. If you're on Facebook, you see it on Facebook all the time, and if you're on like things like Facebook, Twitter, etc., you can find it relatively often, but that's because you're choosing to follow it. If you're choosing to listen to public radio or something like that, you don't hear it. It's just not available.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's a big shame because people should be tuning into the main. These. I just don't know where they're all gone. I don't know. How lucky I think we were in the early 90s when you had all these big bands peaking musically and they were in top 10s. Like I mentioned, U2, the Peppers, Pearl Jam, Rage Against the Machine were a bit later. But these unbelievable acts, that were peaking. The Cure in the early 90s, I think, I know they were more of an 80s band, but I discovered them later. So you're right. I think rock and roll, the real rock and roll is kind of, it's no longer on the big radar anymore. It's a pity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I said, growing up, I was never one for a lot of pop music. I have a bit more of an appreciation for it now, but if I had my choice between a few songs, generally I'm almost always going to pick something more like a rock song or an alternative track than a pop song most times, 9 out of 10. And it's one of the reasons I don't really listen to the radio so much anymore, and I don't listen to a lot of streaming services because I don't have as much choice in what I'm listening to. Most of the time when I'm at home, I'm almost exclusively listening to like MP3s or iTunes or something that I have control over what I'm playing, which is also kind of restrictive too, because I'm probably missing out on a lot of other different music that I wouldn't hear if it just didn't randomly come on, which is another shame, because I used to hear decent bands on the radio that would get me hooked, and I'd have a new band to listen to, and now I don't have that so much. I have to actively go out and search for new music by bands I don't know, which is difficult to do because you don't know where to look all the time. And it's just it's a really weird landscape to be in to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the show I'm doing now, radio. But when I first started, I had no clue where to get music because I had bands that I knew here in the state, in Tacoma and Seattle. I'm in a band. And so it's just like, well, there's got to be other places here besides just Seattle and Tacoma. Don't get me wrong, we're all great. And a friend of mine who was giving me key points how to get this thing started, he goes, well, go to MusicSmith.com. That's where I got all my music. And that's how I got 80% of my music to get me started. I'm still using MusicSmith.com. And without them, I wouldn't have known King George. And from King George, Winter's End. And I would have met Spider, and that's how basically. And even without Music Smith, I'm going out and looking for bands. Hey, you guys are great. I want you guys on the show. On the show here. Like, great. Here's my stuff. And so that's how I've been doing everything, and researching on the internet and all that stuff. So, and that's my little spiel.
but it's an interesting one because to have to go out there to discover music. Now you look at My Music and Winter's End, and I think Winter's End are an amazing band.
Oh, I do. I agree.
But the fact is, when I talk about the radio station here in Australia, the public station, they have not played any of our music ever. All right, so yet we get more attention from people like yourself overseas. King George's had more interest overseas than more than in Australia. The thing is that, you know, why, I don't know. I know there's been a lot of factors controlling radio stations. I'm not an expert in how they run, but when you have bands like Winter's End, and if you hear their latest, the last single of theirs, I just scratch my head and go, why hasn't this been played?
Right.
You know, and it's no disrespect to any other artists who have been played on the radio here, but you just wonder why. I mean, it's just the way it is. But people should be given that opportunity. Like Spider was saying, you're sitting in the car or you're in the backyard with the radio on, and you get that opportunity to hear a band go, wow, you know, what's this song about, you know? And then the journey starts. That relationship starts with a band, you know. So yeah, there you go. There's some interesting facts for you.
Yeah. Defected in the chat room has a good points too. Reading her 2 comments, so she has 2 of them. She goes, I even listen to background music they use in some mainstream reality shows, like Hoarders. I'm pronouncing that wrong, or something like that.
Hoarders.
And get Hoarders.
Hoarders.
Okay. And get inspired by it. Some mini ideas have started from that, something like that, but end up sounding like something totally different or totally out there, which is true. You can start on something and it can kind of change and have a life as its own.
Yeah.
We'll start with that one there, and I'll go to the next one next. So, have you ever started a song a certain way, and then it kind of took its own turn, its own lifestyle?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, really?
I get a sound to trigger. I hear a sound somewhere, and that's why I keep my phone next to me with the recorder on it, because someone says something, or there's something on the TV, it triggers just in my head all of a sudden. I have to go away and start singing or humming into the phone. I think you get it anywhere. It's subconsciously and consciously. Because all those TV shows do have a lot of music in the background. So.
Yeah, they do. All right, and another thing she said was true. Actually, very opportunity anything too mainstream, only listening for fun-wise. Like once she was a regular club that had an instrumental night.
Industrial
night. Thank you. And they had some very good German DJs there. Loved it. And then he finished off the show by playing some big mainstream hit song, Sandstorm, by who?
Darude.
I have to look that band up now. I was so disturbed and disgusted by it, and people fill a dance floor. And she ended up leaving and a panic attack and all that stuff. But that's interesting how, you know, they can start with one thing and then they twist it toward the end. So I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I know there was a club here called Knock Knocks. It's not here anymore, but we wanted it was all 80s music, underground or whatever it was, and we wanted to hear Prince because he was in the 80s, right? And so we like, yeah, we can play that. He flat refused to play Prince. A lot of our group went up there, and he would not do it. And so I kind of complained about it. And of course, yes, I was blocked from the group. But it was just like, dude, it's Prince. He's in the 80s. Why didn't you know that? So anyway, that's my little complaint about Prince.
Yeah.
Ooh, that musician is kind of cute. Sorry.
One thing funny that when I was younger, before I left my mom and dad's house, there was a radio station based out of Cleveland, Ohio here. It was 107.9, The End is what it was called, and it was Cleveland's modern rock. It's what they built themselves at. But they played a lot of uncensored stuff and a lot of just a pretty wide variety of rock music. And when Eminem first came out with his first song, everyone thought it was a joke. I mean, the song itself was, of course, supposed to be funny and everything. But nobody really thought that he was just being cynical because he was a cynical guy. It was just, they thought it was a joke song. So the radio station picked it up and would play it uncensored as if it was just something funny, like you'd play with like Weird Al or a parody thing. And they did the next song for his next single when it came out off of his next album. And then after that, he started putting out the more serious music, the more serious videos, and people started thinking, oh, you know what? He's a lot more serious than all this. He's an angry guy. And then you didn't hear him on this radio station anymore. And it's like, well, why not? I mean, it's still the same musician, just because he's put out his more amusing songs first. You're just gonna not play any of his serious music because he's not funny anymore. I mean,
it's funny who makes this decision. This thing's like, it's funny how I've always been interested how they make these decisions on the radio. Someone sits around at a team meeting or something and says, right, so we're not playing Eminem anymore, no matter what, and that's not right. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's just strange how this kind of stuff happens. And the radio station eventually reformatted into a modern country music station. So I stopped listening to it completely. But it was just like, whoever runs this stuff has almost no idea what's going on. And they want to have a wide open, genre-bending kind of mix of stuff. And then when something comes along that's a little outside the norm, you're just like, nah, never mind. It's too bad.
Well, it's kind of interesting because when I was getting the show going, a lot of my friends said, oh, the music you've been or I just started, the show just got going. And they're like, well, if I was picking those music, none of the songs will be on the air. Like, yeah, that's the reason why you're not picking the songs. Yeah, think? Just like, and I have MusicSubmit.com telling me, you know, that, well, you don't have to like all the songs. Like, no, actually, all the music I've been getting is really, really good. So, yeah, I'm picking them.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go take a small little break. I got one last song for you, and then when we come back, we'll start talking to you about your new project. So we'll play that next too. So I got Firestone ready to go. So tell us about that song. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with more of you.
Firestone is about a night at a gentleman's club. Do you know what a gentleman's club is?
Yes, I know what that is.
So it was, I think, just one of those experiences of going to see someone is going to see the strippers. So, yeah. And a lot of men who go there and spend too much cash there and think they're fallen in love and stuff like that. But, yeah, that's what it's about.
Do you know what a man's... Dude, really?
I don't know what you call it over there.
Well, same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
All right. Here's King George's version of a man's club, Firestone.